All right, I am joined here with the hardcore closer, Ryan Stewman. And Ryan, how you doing today, brother?
I'm awesome, man. I'm awesome. Dude, I'm like excited to be here.
Great. Well, I'm excited to have you here. I'm really excited to just have my listeners be able to get so much value out of what you can tell them when it comes to sales, comes to closing, and everything in between, especially in the insurance industry, which is just seeming to be harder and harder every day.
Yeah, it's like everything else in the financial markets. You know, my fiance, or I guess that's what we'll call her. My fiance, she works in the financial markets. It's really hard there. You know, my guys in the mortgage business are complaining about TRID and the CFPB and everything else, man. It's like DJ Khaled says, man, they don't want you to win, right? It's like always making it harder to make money.
Yeah, and that's what it seems, and I think on top of that, the biggest thing, and this is maybe even our first point I want to start with, Ryan, is like, we're not just competing against local agents and other companies, but now we're competing against the automated world of Geico and Progressive and Esurance, where people can hop on at 2 a.m, get everything done online or call an 800 number and boom, 15 minutes, they're done. And they don't really care what kind of coverage they're getting. We're competing against that. So, I mean, my first question is like, how do you compete against something like that?
You ain't gonna like the answer to this, man, but like, let's talk about that for real. So here's the thing that we know, and here's why most people would rather deal with technology than a human. Human screws stuff up, right? Like I know that I'm above average intelligence, right? It's been proven, right? Above average intelligence, above average action taker, right? So you got to realize that you're above average person too, above average intelligence person too. You have this podcast, right? You're above what the average person's doing, an income level, the activity that you give back, everything else, right? The average person is like who you're dealing with. And so the average person normally encounters nothing but average people. See, I happen to be an elitist, right? Because of my income, so that I get to hang around other elite status people, right? But the average person hangs around average people, and they know that average people screw things up all the time. So they'd rather trust technology to get something done than an average person. Think about this. You go to the grocery store, you look over there to the 3 checkers down, and you're like, dude, that dude's slow as shit. That's like your average person. I can go over here and check it out myself and be done faster than them, right? Like that's the mentality that that above average people have, and it's even average people. They're like, dude, this guy's average. I'm still, they like to think they're above average, right? It's like the biggest lie a lot of people tell themselves. And so the reason what I've been preaching, because they've been trying to replace loan officers and real estate agents, just like insurance for forever. You have to prove to the marketplace that you're above average, but more importantly, like, why fight that trend? Why not go and just invest in an app? I invested in multiple phone apps at this point. Invest in an app that allows people to do what Esurance does and allow them, like if you're an independent broker, right? Like, why wouldn't you have your own app that allows them to get a quote just like Geico and everybody else? Like, why fight the trend and go, man, that's something that I'm just not going to do. If the trend's there and the average person would rather just go through an app, like, why not just provide that for them and market the shit out of it as why your app's better than their app? That's what I would do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, I did like the answer, and I agree with the fact that probably a lot of people didn't. But the reality of it is, I talk to agents all the time. They're all so stuck in this local agency offline mode because that's what they've been trained for, agents that have been around for 20, 30 years. But you got to you simply get out of that mode, go offline to online and do everything you just talked about. That's why the websites are important. The social media presence is important. And just as you spoke about the apps and whatnot. So, that's a great point with the checkout line. And a lot of people they can relate to that because that's just today's world. And you're right. It's going to be a lot easier. We just embrace that.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? It's like, well, you say a lot of agents think locally. I deal with a lot of loan officers and real estate agents. They think locally for obvious reasons. They have to drive people around, list houses. But insurance and mortgages, you guys are licensed on a state level, right? So like, I hear people come to me all the time. They're like, but my market sucks. I'm like, yeah, but you sell insurance. Why don't you just move 2 counties over and then start running advertisements over there? Like, if you know your market sucks, why would you spend your ad dollars in a market that sucks, right? Now, I get it. Some people that are big corporations, they say, well, State Farm won't let us invest our money over here. Allstate won't let us cross-sell or whatever, right? whatever, right? Do what you got to do. If you got a crappy territory, sometimes you got to cross lines. That's how gang wars get started in the hood, right? Like, surely you can deal with that in the corporate level as well. But that would be me. Like if I'm an insurance broker, like an independent, and I have an office, I can do business anywhere in the state. I'm going to do business where the most expensive houses are that sell the fastest. I'm going to do my market research, and that's where I'm going to spend my ad dollars at, because that's where I'm going to get the most bang for my buck.
And that brings a good point too. I mean, the reality of it is you can go out and simply purchase a license for any state in the United States. And if you have enough online presence to be able to do business like that, you can market yourself wherever the heck you need to. But good point. It's, sometimes if your market sucks, because I hear that excuse. I hear market and I hear our prices aren't competitive. Well, you did a lot in real estate mortgages and car sales. If you can't overcome a price type objection or a market type objection, you shouldn't be selling in the first place.
Yep. What we always did, and I don't know how, like, relative to, it's been a while for me, right? What we always did is we gave them like a flat rate, lowest policy possible on the front end, right? Like, we didn't even play games with them. We just gave them like the cutthroat bare bones that they needed to close on the house. As soon as they closed on the house, our insurance guy would call on the back end and bump them into a little bit better policy, right? But we got them enticed in the beginning. They're in the house. They got what they want. Now that they love the house, let's make sure that the whole damn thing's covered. Right? Like, that was always our thing, to avoid market price. It's like, after we closed on the house, we didn't want to interrupt or mess your DTI ratios or anything like that. But after the appraisal came back, turns out you're probably going to want to put these additional, add-ons, and we can add your cars to this policy as well, which will actually save you a few bucks. Well, y'all know the song and dance that you got to go through. But that was a hell of a lot easier process than say, well, the reason why we're $300 more a year than farmers is because of XYZ. Now, we just hit them with like the fire policy and then bump them on the back end.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. That's what you got to do. And it doesn't matter if it's home, car, whatever insurance, that's how you get them in the door, because obviously you can't have a conversation if you're not at least having, them look at you in the first place. So
I think the most important insurance commercials you see on TV are like $49 a month. Liability insurance, right? Like, they're never like, hey, listen, our insurance is $300 more than everybody else a month. But here's how, like, dude, like, listen, here's why we're better. Like, you never see that, right? They're like, same with car dealerships, like, come in and get this $9,000 brand new Fiesta, right? Even though that doesn't exist, right? But that's what they do, is they always come in with their best offer, believing that a salesman can meet you and bump you on the back end.
Absolutely. One thing that I hear from clients all the time, and one of the biggest stresses is I always hear them complain about staffing and their salespeople. And, I always bring up to them my belief, and maybe you'll completely disagree because, everybody, we didn't talk beforehand about a lot of these things. But I believe when you're in sales, really in any business, you should either be, on a commission-based or a draw-based type schedule. And I find for some reason in the insurance industry, agents are reluctant to put their staff on that. And I'm like, well, if you got a salesman, you're not going to get 100% out of them unless you're doing that. I mean, do people just need to buckle at this point and say, listen, I don't care if it's insurance sales, car sales, whatever it is, they just need to be on a draw or commission basis, even though that's not traditional in the insurance industry.
Well, so in the mortgage world, they passed a law a couple years ago that made it mandatory to where you were on a minimum wage salary. It was no longer called a draw. But what they do is they basically give you a minimum wage salary, and then you make your commissions and basis points on top of that. And really, who are we talking about? Minimum wage is $250 a week, right? So at 40 hours a week, it's not a whole lot, right? And that's what they give you in the mortgage business. Real estate's a lot like insurance, where you don't necessarily get anything other than commission. You know what I mean? And here's what I was just having this conversation. I did two training webinars before I got on here, right? Like one-on-one with one of my high-end coaching clients, and then one with my Break Free Academy people. And here's what I was just explaining to both of them, even though they were separate hangouts, right? I'm gonna repeat myself for the third time today, just so we're clear on that. But you can go hire somebody for $250 a week, right? Like, even if it's a work from home, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, here's what I'm gonna do. But people need jobs right now, right? And so there's somebody who's willing to work for $1,000 a month. They've been able to live somehow right? I don't know how it's possible, but we've all done it at one point or another, way below their means, where they bet $1,000 would dramatically improve their quality of life. If they don't have a job right now, they get child support benefits, whatever the case, right? So there's somebody out there who'd be willing to put in work for you for $250 a week. And $250, let's say in the insurance world, let's say that's 3 policies. I know that you can make $250 from less than 3 policies, but let's just say that that's 3 policies, right? Like, surely you can make 3 more sales that week, every week, to cover that person who's going to be able to do all the menial, like, BS, even if it's sales, stuff that you don't want to do, like the cold calls and things like that, or dealing with customer service, or putting together the number part of the policies. Is that not worth 3 extra sales every single week that you've got to make to motivate you to make those 3 sales, but at the same time, step your game up to where you can make 30 more sales that week, right? Like, because you can't do this forever by yourself. And then here's the disservice you do by not building a team as well. You get hit, run over by a car, break your arm, skateboarding, skiing, snowboarding, some of that stuff, and you're out of work for a while. Your family suffers, right? Heaven forbid you die, right? Y'all all sell life insurance, so you get this, right? Heaven forbid you die. Most of you don't have life insurance yourself anyway, right? Because you never have what you sell, right? That's just how it works, right? So heaven forbid you die and you don't have a team, then your family's bills don't get paid. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have a team that is like your son, your daughter, your wife, they can inherit that team and that machine that you've put in place. But if you die and you're one-man army and you don't have a team in place that's building a business for you, then guess what? You don't have a business. You have a solopreneur career, and it all ends with you, right? I had to go through that the hard way. So, you know, I have now a system where I have teams and employees and operation managers and everything else. If I die, even somebody who's nothing about my business could step in and still manage it as the CEO, and it would continue to make money for my family, right? That's important.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Absolutely. I guess unfortunately, we're running out of time here, but you know,
I talk a lot. Sorry.
No, it's all great info, and it's the reason I wanted you on here was just because I know, you know, you offer value, you know, and so I guess the biggest question I wanted to ask you for this whole thing is, a lot of people that are looking for help in the insurance industry, they are the brand new scratch agent with absolutely zero, no clients, no nothing out there. They're not buying a business, you know, because the scratch opportunities are really good right now with a lot of carriers. So, you know, you got that guy who has bought into a company's system, so they're starting from ground zero. But they need lists, they need leads, they need prospects. What do you tell them to go out and to do? As one of the top salesmen out there today, what do you tell that person to go out to do, number one, first day on the job?
So you've got to be efficient with your time. Let's talk about efficiency and new media, right? I'm going to make this really quick for you. TV is now YouTube. Radio is now podcast. Social networking, like going to cocktail parties and meeting for lunch, is now getting online somewhere, whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook or Meet Me or whatever the case may be. And the time that, well, here's what most people do. They pick up the phone. Let's say that they pick up the phone and they start calling everybody they know. 86% of all phone calls go unanswered, right? So 86% of the time that you were going to spend doing that service right there is gone. When you're new, you got to make money fast. You got to be efficient about it. So put the phone down. Second thing is, people decide that they're going to drive around. They're going to knock doors. But then that leaves them inside a car driving 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 10 minutes to get kicked out, 5 minutes to sneak in the back door only to get kicked out again, right? Driving 10 minutes or maybe meeting an hour for lunch. Nobody ever wants to meet by your house. They always want to meet by wherever they're at. We never prospect in our backyard because oftentimes we're poor trying to sell shit to rich people, right? That's just like how it works, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to level that playing field, right? Where they don't know whether you're poor, you're rich, or successful, or anything else, and you're not on their turf, they're on your turf, and you've got to hit them through social media, joining groups, right? Like, so say you sell insurance, an efficient auto group would make a good idea of a place to join, right? Because they love their cars, and they want to make sure they're taken care of. Now, don't go back there and be like, hey, I sell insurance, right? Because nobody cares about that. You go back there and you talk car stuff with them, dude, and you start talking about, you know, how awesome their cars are and blah, blah, blah. And it leads to, oh, what do you do for insurance? Like, you got this thing taken care of, right? Like, leading a casual conversation as if you were at a social event. You can have a conversation like that in groups hundreds of times a day, whereas there's no way you can knock hundreds of doors. And there's no way you're going to get 100 phone calls answered in sales pitches I had during the day. But you can do that within a matter of a couple of hours through any social network, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. I recommend Facebook. They're the biggest one of all. Might as well go where the big fish are, right? The other thing that you've got to be able to do is besides like the being able to reach people on social media itself, is you got to be quick, right? So you want to go in and find groups. Another one besides the auto aficionados might be a dad's group or a mom's group, right? Like people that are dads, they have a little something bigger than themselves to live for. People that are moms, they have a little bit something bigger than themselves to live for. They have more of a reason to have life insurance than teenagers or people in their 20s that don't have kids or successful jobs, right? 40 and plus MILFs club. That might be a great club for multiple reasons. You know what I'm saying? So, but those are the things that I would do, man. I would go in and I would provide value in those groups, whether it be through websites or whatever that I found blog posts to provide in there, startup conversations and prospect in there. So
awesome.
You can do a lot more than that, and you can't door knocking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's great. I really appreciate all the value and everything you're able to answer. Ryan, what do you got going on right? Well, that's a loaded question. We could spend another hour on that, but tell me some of the things you got going on that my listeners can maybe, if they want to learn more, which most of you should want to learn more after what you just heard from Ryan today, where can they check you out? What can they do to really get all of the hardcore closer?
All right, cool. So I have this this software I use called Clixo, CLYXO.com. Go to CLYXO.com/closer. Right there's where you can find me on all my social media channels. There's my website, about me, like whatever you want about to connect with me or find me is on that page, Clixo.com/closer. If you haven't ever heard of Clixo before, like real quick, this is really cool free software. You sign up for it and you can like host all of your social media profiles in like one place, right? So instead of going like, well, I'm this on Facebook and this on Instagram and I'm over here on Twitter with this different handle, you just like I did, just like find me on Clixo. You can do whatever the hell you want from there, right? So while you're there at Clixo looking at my stuff, CLYXO.com/closer, sign up for your own free account. And then you'll be able to use that logo for your email. You'll be able to take a bunch of other logos off your website. Dude, it's like all around pretty cool thing. So, but that's where you find out everything about me. Sponsored by Clixo.
Great stuff. Cool. I think I got an account I signed up through. It was through something I saw of yours actually. So I got my account. That's what I'm using too. So that's great. Well, cool. Ryan, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy, crazy day. And, I'm hoping if you want to come back on later on at some point so we can kind of pick your brain again when we got some more time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll come back on in the future. We'll hang out a little bit longer. It goes by quick.
Yes, sir. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Later.
All right. You still there?
Yep.
All right. So awesome. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man. I got 2 minutes, dude. I'm on to the next one.
All right. Have fun.
Yep. Have a good day, dude. Thanks for having me on.
Right. Yep. Bye.